Hi, I'm Gareth Cottrell, and joining me are the band Daughters of Davis.
Hey!
Otherwise known as Fern and Adrienne.
Hello.
And we're so looking forward to this because this is episode 2 of our podcast, Not Playing the Game.
That's right.
Yeah, so in this series, we're taking a step back to question some of the things that we see in society. Because, you know, some things are helpful, but some things are just not, right?
Yeah. We are constantly bombarded by ideas about how we should look and how we should act. And there's so many perfect ideals out there that it can really make you feel inadequate or, you know, pressured to change. And whether that is our money or our status or our appearance, you know, there's so many things that can affect us.
Yeah, but we believe, you know, we don't have to just, you know, take what is sold to us, you know, like we see in the Bible, each and every person has worth and value. You know, we don't have to compete with this media mold idea or compete with other people. We can just say, I'm not playing the game.
Yeah.
Now, just before we move on to the prop, which was very successful on episode 1,
Yes.
We've got another guest, which is our very own Chloe from UCB2. Hi,
Hello,
Chloe.
how are you?
We're very well. We'll speak to you soon, but I need to introduce you and everybody else to a no expense spared prop. Are you ready for this?
I was born ready.
Can you handle this?
Probably not, actually.
Right,
It
well.
is a bit exciting.
So, how this is going to work is like so excited to blow
know,
that
I'm
whistle
too
again.
excited.
Giving it away.
I have, haven't I? That big build up, and now we already know what it is.
Never mind.
It's a whistle. And we will be blowing that. I say we.
Yeah.
Either of you will be blowing it.
We will.
When basically we're looking to call time on a topic or looking to say enough is enough.
Oh, definitely. It's basically calling referee on an issue that we don't like in the world. And we're going to find out what that is today. We're going to figure it out together.
And talking of today, it's episode 2, and we're going to use a phrase which I've never heard before until now. So either the crew are winding me up and this word doesn't actually exist and I'll be a fool, as per usual, but this is called adulting.
Oh.
Do we know what adulting is?
Or is it when you know, whatever your action you're doing or behaviour you're doing, it really represents being an adult and being good? And, well, not, yeah, just like nailing being an adult.
Nail on the head.
Yeah?
Spot on.
So
End of
friendly.
the episode. That's it. So we're talking about not playing the game of fearing getting old. And would we all like to be 18 again, do we think? So just to say, first of all, how old we all are. Fern, how old are you? Dare I ask?
I always forget how old I am and I
Okay.
have to ask Adrienne because I'm always anticipating the next age and I often end up thinking I'm that age because I'm not. But
Avoiding the question here, aren't you, really?
I am 31, nearly 32. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, see? I have to check.
I was just
And
thinking too,
Adrienne?
because there's a year and a half between us, 33.
33.
She's
And
fast.
Chloe?
21.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm sorry.
So, yeah.
35.
She's winning.
I know, don't look it. But would we like to be 18 again? Is that an age that we've got fond memories of? Or was it a dreadful time, maybe?
That's a good question, Gareth. I can't really decide.
Yeah, I think, you know what the thing is? I think you kind of always feel that you're that age, 18. I don't think you ever feel you actually get older. Because I remember talking to my grandma once, and she said when I was really young, I was growing up, she said, when you see an older person, just remember that inside, no matter what they look like, they feel like they're 17, 18. And I was like, oh, do they? And that was obviously when I was really little. But, you know, in a way, kind of how we feel, does it ever really change? Like, do you think it's changed for you? Like,
I still feel like I'm 16, to be perfectly honest. I remember my 16th birthday, and that's pretty much it.
They're just
Yeah,
the
you get
rest of us blur.
Yeah, pretty much. And I still don't know what's going on.
Hilarious. Yeah, I would say the same thing. Time for me blurs. People that can like sometimes recount back in their mind of dates and times. Nothing. It's just it's all a blur for me.
For me personally, 18, I just didn't like that age. I think I'm a lot happier from probably about 27 onwards.
Yeah.
That period of time, I just felt very lost in my life. I didn't know what I wanted to do, how I would achieve it, and it just seemed like there was so much pressure on my shoulders with exams, with university and stuff. So for us, 18 seems like a lifetime ago, but for Chloe, get this, it was 3 years ago.
There we go.
So
Just a young babe.
would you like to go back to 3 years ago,
No,
Chloe?
no, genuinely I would not.
Why is that?
It was like what you were saying. There was so much pressure on me to go to university, to get, you know, the right grades. And I didn't get the grades that I wanted when I did my A-levels. And that was really, really tough. And I had all these so-called friends around me, and I came to realize that they weren't my friends, and that was a really, really hard point to go through. And then I had to, move away from home. I was a real home bird, and go to this new place I'd never been to before, start a new degree, start, meeting new people, and I hadn't got a clue what was going on, and it was really, really hard.
Oh.
You've also had, should we say, some big life-changing things happen to you in the past 3 months. Tell us about that.
Okay, you could say that. Yeah, so
Massive life-changing things,
really,
not just slightly
really
big, massive.
Okay, so I finished my degree a couple of months ago, and then I moved back home with my parents, and 10 days later, I started working here, started my new job, which was great. But I was also having to, start to drive again, which that was a really big thing, learning to drive all over again, because I hadn't done that in 3 years. And then I was also planning a wedding at the same time. I then got married a month ago, and we had to find a house. I had to start renting a house there, moved to a new place where we'd never been before, didn't know anybody. And
Wow.
It all happened very, very quickly. Like we were saying earlier, it was such a blur. It still is a blur.
That's incredible.
Wow.
I'm astonished. Respect. If I could fist bump you from here, I would. Like,
There you go.
air one.
Yeah, that one. Great.
Like, that is very impressive. Do you feel like your head's in a bit of a stew? Like, just
Yeah. I'm very emotional. The phrase to describe me most of the time is I'm just an emotional balloon. I could just burst at any point.
Whoa. I hope
There you
this
go.
episode doesn't burst you.
No, I
Like,
think
we
I had
don't-
it before. I think. We'll see how it goes.
I think it feels like. Do you think it's house moving? What's the most disruptive thing? Because me and my sister, obviously, being in a band, we've done loads of touring. In fact, started off selling everything and buying a camper van to tour the UK, right? And we lived in this van, this tin van between us, and it was like breaking down all the time. And it was like. It felt like such a blur because our home was literally on wheels. It felt like we were moving house every day of the week. Every new curb in Britain was like a new home for us. And I think it gives you like, you can't like put down roots very well. And I think that can be really unsettling. And did you find the same thing just moving?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously I moved back home with my parents for a short time, which was great because I was commuting quite a way in and commuting all the way back after, 8 hours at work. And my mum would just be like, okay, I've got dinner on the table, I'll put some washing in for you. And that was great. But then having my own house, like the shower rail fell down the other day. And I was like, I don't know what to do now. Normally I go, Dad, I need help. The shower rail's falling down. I need to come and fix it. And I'm like, well, I've got to try and sort that now. How do I do that?
Hashtag adulting, right?
Yeah.
Did you adult that power rail?
I did give it to my husband. I was like, I was too small. I couldn't reach it.
Delegating.
There we go. Yeah.
Adrienne, why do we think that these things are so daunting? Chloe told us about, she's done everything in basically 3
Impressive.
months. For you, how long have you been married?
What have you done, Adrienne?
So, almost a year, yeah.
Okay.
So it's not been that long, really.
So you obviously have all those feelings of nervousness and worry still fairly fresh. Why was it so daunting for you? If it was, of course.
Wait. Can you tell me about the things you broke in the first month about being married?
Go on.
There's so much
It was
comedy
so
there.
embarrassing. I literally managed to break the hob. I cracked it. It was like one of those glass ones right across. I managed to bleach loads of towels, and I managed a mini blender. I managed to get it stuck so tight that my husband thought I'd like used a robot on it or something. And he said, why did you keep tightening it? And I said, well, I didn't know. I didn't know how to undo it. He goes, why don't you try the other direction? No. Anyway, so I just made it worse.
Your husband must
strong.
have the patience of Job.
He definitely
A
does
year
need
on
it.
and all that.
I know. Yeah. I think whenever there's something new, it's daunting. And I guess when you're growing up, there's lots of new things, and you don't really, like you said, get these kind of roots. And I guess as well, with what we're seeing online, we're presented with so many ideas. There's so many options of things we can do that I kind of get lost in who I should be and what should I be focused on. It's just almost this wealth of things. And I don't know, but you were talking about not wanting to be younger, like a few years younger. I would say in society, we see like this image of youthfulness and we always kind of want to get there. But when I actually think of the reality for me when I was younger, I had a lot of like insecurities, and I think in terms of how I actually felt, I wouldn't want to actually be there. I would with the way I look, maybe, but it's not necessarily, it's interesting how we get this idea of what youthfulness is and how it actually feels, at the time.
Yeah, like in reality, reaching those life goals is actually like really nice, and there's like much more security or different things that come along. And like our society seems to like venerate the younger and say like this is this is when you're like most valued or most beautiful or most strong, and this is what we treat as worthy in our society. It seems to be that way, get it through advertising and films, because there's not enough like older role models and say like films and things. You don't get enough of those role models out there, and they keep editing out lines. They Photoshop or airbrush away people's lines as if it's like a shame to get older. But, it's not. And we're not used to seeing it as much. And if we were used to seeing it, we'd probably respect it more and have those role models there more.
I was just thinking, can you guys think of this, right? When you think of adverts that come online, can you think of many times you see older people that aren't necessarily for an aging cream advert? I can't actually think of any adverts where there's like a model of an older person without it being... Yeah, just something like that.
Unless it's one of those chairs that supports your back.
Yeah, like that kind of thing. Get that many kind of...
Or those baths which open up at the side. How can a bath that has a door on it and cracks hold water?
Interesting.
Anyway, moving on. So this is the Not Playing the Game podcast with the band Daughters of Davis.
Hey.
And we've got Chloe from UCB2. And I wanted to just bring this question to you. So we spoke about how it can be daunting with getting married, with having children, moving house. How can we face these with courage? What do we do about it?
Well, you don't really have a choice unless you want to die. To getting older. And I often say, I want to get older. The alternative is not so good. That's not getting older and stopping.
Why don't people ever celebrating birthdays? That should be a good thing. There's this whole thing, isn't there?
Ooh, another birthday.
Yeah. It's better than, like you said.
And also, what's the problem with getting older? Why is our society shaming the elderly? Because I always say this, that most of the people that are older than me are wiser than me. I am I make every mistake under the sun, and I think it takes mistakes sometimes to get experience, to have the wisdom, and not always. Sometimes you could just read it in the Bible and follow the wisdom there. Sometimes you just want to do it alone, make the mistake, and then figure out how it didn't work. But I feel like I sometimes think you want to be younger, but I know wisdom's a really good thing.
Well, on that topic, would you like some words of wisdom from me?
Yeah, I would.
Well, I say me, I will quote them from the Bible.
Well, that's really not you then, is it?
And it's Job 12, verse 12. And it simply says, only a short one, is not wisdom found amongst the aged? Does long life bring understanding? What do we make of that? Because this is saying that actually we should give people of an older age a lot more credit than we maybe do at the moment, because sometimes can we be responsible for when a person reaches a certain age saying, right, well, they're useless, give them some slippers, sit them on the couch, they can watch Bargain Hunt. Surely there has to be more to it than that.
So true.
Well, you can definitely be wiser from a young age too. So that is there, but you definitely see as well, older people do have such that life experience, of actually being through something.
It's valuable, isn't it, Adrian?
Yeah, it's so valuable, and there is just. I mean, yeah, like you said, some of the best people we know. Like you think of your grandparents, aren't they just the best people I ever heard?
Yeah. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time working in an old people's home. Oh. Wait, I don't think that's the technical name for it.
A care home,
a care home.
Now.
Sorry, I really should not get it. Given that,
and you work there as well.
Of
all the people to get it wrong.
Alongside music, actually, and it's been really, really interesting and really eye-opening, because what we see in our society is when people get older, they tend to get. It can be that they can get shut away in the home and get forgotten about. And I see those that have the residents that have visitors that come and see them are like entirely different people to the ones that just sit in their room and pretty much sleep all day and then get up, watch a bit of TV and then go to bed. And it's night and day, the difference. And I just think if we were to have a more conversation with elderly people, then we would really learn from them. And I've learned so much from working there at times there, and there's just so much value. And they've told me things that have blown my mind sometimes, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm taking that to my grave with me. That's really good advice. And it's just a real shame that we just don't seem to value the elder generation.
Interesting, Fern. So, Chloe, if you were needing advice, would you turn to one of your friends of a similar age, or would you go to a more mature person?
More mature person, definitely.
Why is that?
Well, when I was going through all that stuff that I did in the past 3 months, I had a one-to-one, and she was probably in like her mid-30s, and I would just turn to her and I'd say, I don't know what's going on, I need help. And she had experience of not everything that I was going through, but she would tell me things that happened to her, and in the emotions that she went through, I could then relate to. Whereas I did try talking to friends of my own age, but a lot of them didn't understand where I was coming from because they weren't going through the same things as me. Because, to get married at 21 is ridiculously, crazy, really, in this day and age. Like, everyone thought I was just bonkers for getting married at that age. And they still do, to be perfectly honest. I get a lot of mixed reactions. But yeah, they just didn't understand where I was coming from. So I had to turn to someone who was older than me because they'd been through it and they knew how I was feeling.
My dad always used to say, you can't put a young head on old shoulders. And I used to, at the time, I was a cocky teenager. I was like, oh, Dad, please, you don't know anything. But what's annoying now is, as I get older, I've worked out that usually he was actually right, which is a case of, you were right all this time. Would you two turn to your dad, who we'll be bringing on later on? I'm looking forward to. I have the gags lined up about Father of Davis with the daughter of Davis. In fact, all these are the gags I'm holding now here. Pages
Stay tuned,
full of
people.
them.
Stay tuned.
So is your dad, because he's older than you, obviously, is he the sort of person who you would turn to for advice, and you don't have to say yes just because he's over there in the corner of the same room?
Absolutely,
definitely. He's used to getting calls from us like, Dad, I've got this problem or this.
And like, when we were living in the van, living off porridge and, finding rivers to bathe in and things to have
Did that
showers.
really happen?
Yeah, it did actually.
It was a low point, okay?
I'd say a high point. That sounds really interesting.
Let me tell you, it was autumn at dusk and we were so
6
broke.
o'clock, I think it was.
Yeah, we couldn't afford to go to it. We'd normally go to swimming pools and, pay for a swim, but we didn't want to swim. We wanted a shower. Go and have a shower. Or we'd
That was
queue
service
up
station.
service stations with lorry men, and they'd be like, lorry man, me with my pink wash bag ready to go in next. And you do not want to go into a shower after a lorry man because there's a lot of hair left behind.
The podcast has gone dark all of a sudden.
Just want to say, sometimes, I've got nothing against lorry men, they're great, but I'm just saying they can have excess hair. The ones I met did. And it didn't feel nice showering. Anyway, so you can understand that maybe a river didn't seem that bad in comparison.
Yeah.
But we had no money to make this happen, and basically, we ended up looking at this river and thinking, hey, God provides free baths. And so we just jumped in this river to have a little wash. And this was the life of being on the road. This was a sacrifice we were giving to our music because we were touring up the country and just all our money went into either petrol or, food. But the food was basic, wasn't it? It was like porridge or something.
Yeah, but I remember calling Mum actually and talking about it.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, she was just like, yeah, you're probably dirtier when you came out. I was like, yeah, that's wisdom right there.
Why are you always right? People of an older age.
They actually found out at a gig where we would be telling people and they were just in the audience and they found out we'd showered in the river and they were like, you could hear them like going, what? I think experience is everything, isn't it?
Well, Chloe, thank you very much. You're listening to Not Playing the Game, and we'll be bringing on, wait for gag number 3, Father Davis very soon.
Yeah.
And as promised, we are joined by Father Davis, but we can't call him that all episode now, can we? He's otherwise known as Max Davis, who is the proud father of these two here.
Hey, Dad.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
So I want to start with asking you, how do you think society views older people?
I think it depends. I think that if somebody's got, say, a professional background, if they're a retired doctor, for example, they might be well respected in terms of their sort of viewpoint. I think probably people at the other end of the scale could not be received quite so well. So I think it's mixed.
Have you ever had any negative responses from people who have discriminated you because of your age?
Other than my wife. Yeah, I think that in some cases people look at grey hair, baldness, things like that. They might tend to want to write you off, It's
surely not baldness,
it can be a problem.
Okay, so girls, Would you discriminate a person because of their age? And you have to be completely honest. Would you? So, for example, if you were looking for a new member of your band, okay, one applicant is very, very good, but he's a little bit older.
Yeah.
The other one is your age.
Yeah.
What would you do?
No, we wouldn't discriminate. It's based on, what you're looking for the band and the sound and the talent and the quality. That's what you're looking for.
So, you'd be happy having an older person on the stage with you being your age?
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah, well, I think it comes down to the person and the skill and stuff. You're looking at that, aren't you, rather than age?
Also, it depends. We're not really like poppy music, like polished sugary pop, and I think sometimes they are really, really tight grip on the look. And for us, we really love the music and the sound, so that takes up more priority than, But then why should the look, if you have someone older, the look not be quite quote marks right? It's kind of like a weird society we live in, and I think you can blame, or you can maybe point to the fact that it's in all the media and the advertising we see and representation of our society. There just doesn't seem to be the demographic of older people, and we don't seem to have those role models. Dad, you were talking about that, don't you? It's just not the. Remember, we were talking a little bit about this last night. You were saying that like you don't seem to see them in the media much. Do you think?
Like people that are older?
Yeah, it's much. Do you find that like? You might get presenters and it's okay for, the gentleman to be older, but maybe the woman needs to be younger too. Why necessarily? Does it have to be like that?
I suppose there's the example of actresses like Dame Judi Dench.
Oh, yeah. Older.
And with that, there becomes a real sort of professionalism that you may not have from a younger actor. Do you think that's fair to say, Max?
I think sometimes if you're older, you're not trendy, are you, if you're old?
Well, that's what they can say, yeah, definitely.
Does that actually affect your image and your audience and things like that? I mean, the fact that you might be wise, that can be a bonus, but it's a hard thing sometimes to market, isn't it?
The thing is, Dad's like a really kind of sort of glass half full type of person. He's always got like a positive attitude about everything.
Which is good.
So, yeah, but I think that's one of the things that we've kind of got from Dad is growing up. It doesn't actually matter. It's more about your view, how you see things, rather than, what you've got. It's what you kind of do with what you've got.
Yeah, and your attitude.
Dad's kind of always encouraged us, like, just you can go for anything and
and
let us live in a van, which you I don't know how much you wanted us to do that particularly, but you let us go off.
I wasn't very keen about you living in a van because obviously I thought that was quite sort of scary, parking it all around the country, and then it got considerably worse. It then got parked in the drive for a few years. Afterwards, it was actually parked in the drive for how many years?
Not sure now. I lost count, Dad.
Yeah,
it's not that many. It wasn't that bad. We did improve the van though, because then we got updated to like a nice eldest van, and that was a nicer van to be in the drive. Was that okay? No.
It was still large, it was still wide, and still took up most of the view.
The thing is, between us, it took us 15 times to pass our driving test.
Don't
I wish I had said that on here. Poor Dad, it was like having to bear us go through that. But
no, Fern passed on the 9th time, didn't she?
I did, yes.
Yeah. I think there was attendance, really, they gave us.
That's so unfair that this has been outed on a podcast. I had, in my defence, I don't have one. I'm just a terrible driver. Wait, can I just say that, everyone listening has experienced a miracle if you're in the UK in your life, because I've been on the roads in the UK, and if you're still alive, which you probably are because I've not killed anyone, then you've experienced a miracle. I've been driving and I've not killed anyone. This is great.
Which is always a bonus.
It is.
I
It is a
suppose you could
bonus.
say. So you're listening to the Not Playing the Game podcast, where we've got Adrian and Fern from Daughters of Davis, and we've also got their dad, Daddy of Davis. That was joke number 4 on my list. So Max, you're 65, you're retired. What did you used to do as a career?
I started off in engineering. And then I sort of moved away from engineering, and I was involved with sales and sales management and business management. And more recently, I've done some property refurbishments, and I'm all set next year to build a retirement home. That's my latest project, and you would think perhaps at 65 I might be crackers taking on something like that, but hopefully a lot of that can be just project managed. I can probably get a lot of people to do the work on that. And we are going to retire there. So what we're hoping to do is to specify the property so it's suitable, obviously, for the next sort of 20 years for us, which is, quite a sensible thing to do.
Is that something you think you would have been able to have done if you'd have done it at a younger age? Or do you feel a bit more experienced and you've got more wisdom in life to achieve that now?
I've done a lot of property refurbishments when I was younger, but I think what tends to happen over the years, the experience that you have accumulates. And when you're doing a larger project, you can put all those sort of things together in terms of making the right decisions. It's quite easy to make the wrong ones.
Definitely.
And
there's nothing like a good experience, is there, Dad, to get you to learn a lesson?
Because sometimes some things can take a long time to actually learn or develop a skill. I mean, obviously there's some things that you can learn very quickly.
I feel like our family goes through like drama after drama to go through these experiences. We had one time, it was absolutely hilarious. Well, Dad, do you remember that time when Mum had an anaphylactic shock? My mum is allergic to shellfish, and basically I remember Dad telling me this story afterwards, and I've never been I laughed so hard because I'll tell you the outcome afterwards. But okay, so. You said tell me that
it really does come back to some lessons are learnt over a long period. But this particular lesson was learnt sort of very, very quickly. And basically what happened is Lorraine had this, obviously this shock, and she was on the floor, difficulty breathing. And obviously I had to respond very quickly with an EpiPen.
Can I just say, right, I came down here this time. I reckon it was 3 or 4 in the morning. Obviously Mum was on the floor, so this was really serious. I was like, what's going on? And it was all panic. And then we were like, we need to find the EpiPen, right? And then Dad, I was on the phone to the ambulance person at this point, and then Dad had the EpiPen.
So we got the ambulance, the paramedic was on the way. Lorraine's pretty much unconscious on the floor with this anaphylactic shock, and obviously managed to find the EpiPen, and I grabbed hold of it and injected it into the right part of the leg. You're supposed to put it into the leg there. I injected the pen in, and the next thing I know, I'm in absolute, complete agony. I'd put my thumb over the end of it and had it round the wrong way.
So he injected it completely into his thumb.
I'd injected it straight through my thumb. The needle went straight through my thumb and stopped at the nail.
Oh, Dad.
And the level of pain was almost undescribable. And then on top of that, the adrenaline kicks in. So my eyes were like saucers. I was quite energetic at the time, tried to go around the bedroom.
The thing is,
like to bed.
I literally heard a week before that someone had done that and they had lost their thumb, right? So at this situation, the build up to, it's in the leg, thank goodness. And then Dad's like, no, I've just injected my thumb. Then I'm like, we're going to end up with both parents in A&E at this rate. But thank goodness we managed to get another EpiPen and your thumb is okay.
Yeah, I
texted Dad later when I found out the story, and I did a little thumbs up emoji, and I said, thumbs up, Dad, for doing a great job looking after Mum.
Again, Job 12, verse 12, is not wisdom found amongst the aged.
Absolutely.
It is, but not when it comes to instances like that, clearly.
Well, you learned that lesson for good, didn't you, Dad?
So a lesson that you wouldn't make that mistake a second
learned.
time.
But we all do learn from our mistakes.
Absolutely.
And you should be doing that, really. If you're not learning from the mistakes, then you're doing something wrong.
That's right.
Psalms 92, verse 14 reads, "They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green." Are you still fresh and green?
I'd like to think so. I mean, at 65, I'm still got a few years left in me, but I'm fairly positive, as the girls have said. Outlook's sort of on the bright side, and I think that's quite important. I mean, I've been exceptionally lucky. I've married a lovely lady. I've been married for 40 years and 3 lovely children. So I've been sort of very fortunate in those areas. I mean, life hasn't always been comfortable. I've had major heart surgery and things like that. So there's always a downside to these things, and I've been very lucky, I suppose.
Would you go back to any age in your life, if you could? Was there one moment of time, one age, where you thought, actually, I was so happy there and I'd love to go back there?
I should say when I met my wife, really. That's the appropriate answer if she was watching.
So you'd have the 40 years all over again?
Yeah, I would.
There's this thing, isn't there, about... Because I feel as I've grown older, time seems to go quicker. I don't know for you, Dad. Do you feel like things are going quick? Like, really quick, or just?
Well, I think every time I get the Christmas tree out, it's almost doing it again. It comes around very quickly.
It does,
Christmas.
yeah.
I think the years do go fairly fast.
Can I ask you a question, Dad? Do you find like, did you have any insecurities when you were younger, and did they ease as you got older? I don't know if you were insecure when you were younger. You were very confident.
I think the insecurities that you have, the worries that you have when you're young, it's about, for example, can you pay the mortgage? You take out these sort of commitments for long term. You've got the commitments of looking after your family and all of those sort of things. They tend to not be there when you're older. You don't have to worry about those mortgages. You've got a pension to take care of you. So all of those things are slightly different. But then you're probably more involved with health worries to a certain extent. But it's all relative, I think, to you.
Because I think it's interesting that your insecurities or anxious feelings can change over time. You know, Adrian said that you spent your life wanting to be slim when you were younger.
Yeah, I spent all my time thinking about being thinner, and then when I got older, I was like, oh, don't worry about that. And because now I'm thinking about as I'm looking older, and I'm thinking about aging. So I think, why did I waste my time worrying about this and that? You know, there's always, I think it's a mindset. There's always something you can be worrying about. And I think, you said about the being fresh and green. I definitely think a lot of that, I find from a faith point of view, like the whole thing about being a new creation in God as well, and connecting, when we connect with the Holy Spirit, like you get this new feeling of newness. So every day you can feel like it's almost brand new.
That's right.
I don't know if that's where the term born again comes from. Do you feel born again? But you definitely, I think whenever you're connecting to God, you feel like the moment's like a fresh moment, and age doesn't come into it, And
it's never too late as well. If you're kind of walking in your purpose that God has for you, and that God has this plan for you, and, you're walking in line with what he wants, you've not missed anything. God has got those things in store for you, and you can walk through and forth into it, no matter what age you are.
Yeah, because this is the thing, we were talking about this last night as well, is the people in the Bible, there's a lot of people who've done amazing things at a later age as well. So you think like Moses, when he led like the Israelites out of of Egypt, like he was around 80, that's awesome. And then Jesus, he didn't do his thing till he was 30. I say do his thing, like, just, die for the world's
die
sins,
for the world.
But do you know what I mean? He didn't actually start the main ministry till he was 30.
Yeah, that's no 18-year-old, is it?
Yeah, and you almost think when you're growing up, I used to think, I need to do my thing now, I need to do something, and
it's interesting as well, like in the music industry as well, you feel like perhaps that, you have to be young if you want to, quote marks, make it, and there's no space for older people in the music industry. And so you feel like you've got to rush through everything.
Do you think that there's certain artists, so in the music industry, there's not many artists who have been going a long time who we want to hear new stuff from them? So, for example, if we use somebody like Paul McCartney, if Paul McCartney played a gig and he played nothing but his new stuff, people would walk out. Right. All they want to hear is the stuff from the Beatles, the 1960s. So, in a way, what should these artists do? Should they just say, right, I've had my heyday, that's it now, I can just, go off, enjoy retirement, or do you keep on going?
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. I think it's frustrating that there seems to be caps on things, and why are they there?
I think, is this something we need to blow the whistle on then? These caps. We haven't, I think we've just
good
got
call,
something good
there. Good call.
I'm
do you want to do the
Yeah, I'm going to, because you know what?
duty.
I'm sick of people being capped at a certain age. Your life's not over when you get older. And I've experienced that. I thought, maybe my life's going to be older when I get to in my 20s. It's not over. I'm 31 now, and it's still not over. And Dad would say, your life's not over. It's still, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Party on. Not playing the game.
There we go.
We need to
It
get better
is
blow at
in
that,
the
don't I?
sin bin. And I found that every age has its real good points.
Yes.
So when I was 18, I had a lot more freedom. I was in a job, and it was my money. I could buy whatever I wanted. Now, I haven't got that freedom. I'm a married man. I've got 2 children, but there's things that I can do and enjoy now that I couldn't enjoy then.
so true.
So at the age of 65, do you now look back and think, actually, I'm really happy. I've got no regrets, and this is where I want to be in my life, Max?
I'm fairly comfortable with myself, and I think that's quite important. And I think I've had a great life. I think it's nice to be able to even think ahead now. At 65, I'm thinking for the next 10, the next 20 years. Looking forward to grandchildren. I think it's going to be exciting times. My glass is definitely are full.
You were also saying, Dad, that, you're not scared to die. You said that because, like, whenever that does happen, you're not scared because you have faith in God. That's
for me.
nice.
That's very important. I think there's some validity in people get older. They think that Christianity and religion is important because it gives them the ability to keep going indefinitely, and that's probably why they're involved with it. But I think no. I think it's quite important to to have that sort of faith, and
it's quite nice, isn't it, getting to live forever?
I like that. No worries about the future. I think that makes you very comfortable and able to enjoy life.
Do you think you're more comfortable with getting old because you have your faith? If you compare yourself to your friends or colleagues who haven't got that faith, are they a bit scared of dying and a bit uncomfortable with the phrase getting old?
I think some people are worried about it and they don't necessarily want to admit that.
Yeah.
But I think if you have got a belief, then it's very important, and I think that's nice to have that, and it's very comfortable.
I always kind of feel like
and it's a great place to be.
It's a bit of a Brucey bonus, I think, the whole eternal life thing. Like, it's amazing. Like, life with God makes my life so much better, the walk on this life. It makes all my anxieties and all my stresses, like, it eases them because God says I'm good enough. It doesn't even matter if I get wrinkles or age or anything that comes with aging. It doesn't matter because, God said I'm good enough, and he doesn't say that I'm only good when I'm 18 and, younger and I've got this kind of expiry date on me. He's like, my whole life is, I'm good. And you know what? And the whole eternal life thing, I'll take that too. Thank you very much.
It's really important.
In conclusion then, age isn't a thing that we should fear.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's all about seeing it as stages. Every stage of life has its advantages. It has its disadvantages as well. But it's a thing that maybe our generation and our age should look forward to, and younger people as well. And the older generation, they seem to enjoy it, I think.
They do like
It's
it,
all
don't
right.
they? This whole life thing, they seem to be doing it.
You get more discounts as well when you get to 65,
Yes,
don't you?
you're not just the pension, but you do actually get some British Rail discounts. You get
Brilliant.
bus passports
Yeah.
and things like that. So you think about all this money that you can save.
Ideal.
It's all good, isn't it?
So the challenges then for this episode.
Yes.
We need to set 3 like we did on the last one.
Yeah.
I'm going to hand over to you two on this. You can set the challenges.
Yeah, oh, actually, I've got a good challenge. One of them, so the whole time paradox thing about did we talk about that?
Well,
Yeah,
you kind of
about,
said things speed up.
yeah,
things
things seem to speed up as time goes on. So the cure to that is actually apparently is to do like more new things. So the more new things you do, the slower time seems to go.
Nice.
And actually, I kind of relate to that because where being married, this first year of marriage definitely seems to feel like it's gone slower. But I think that's because there's a lot of it's a new phase.
Just in between breaking things.
Yeah, in between breaking things. But yeah, so that's I think that is a kind of a good advice. I think to as you get older, try continuing to take on new things, new hobbies, just getting new experiences.
Yeah, and just
Most of.
like not let yourself. I know we blew the whistle on this, but not let yourself be capped. Stop saying you can't do things, and stop stop saying that you're not good enough, and make dreams. And Adrian always said like, when you were like 16, I remember, and she said she was too old to learn a new instrument, and that's like so young, right? But at that age, she felt she was too young because everyone's been learning since they're 8. What's the point?
Yeah.
And then you didn't really play. It was the piano you wanted to play, right?
Yeah, because I actually think it can be a voice that gets into your head that says you're too old, and literally, it can be at any age, even at 16. I could hear that voice, and I wish I'd carried on playing the piano.
But
I
you
took
did
up guitar instead.
You did pick up the guitar at 20.
Yeah, around 20.
Yeah.
Which again, people could say, "Oh, that's too old to learn an instrument," but I've managed to carry on with it. And
It's done us quite well over the years. Adrian's guitar.
Well, thank you to all of our guests. Thank you to Chloe and, of course, Father Davis. If you would like to find out about other episodes and the topics that we've been talking about, you can use the hashtag #NotPlayingTheGame or go to our website ucb.co.uk/NotPlayingTheGame. And thank you to Adrienne and Fern as well.
Thank you very much.